The book club was mine, and I decided to because no one really chose a spooky book for October. I decided to choose one for the end of October.
Oh, excuse me. I only picked Beasts of Burden.
Oh, that's right. That was in October. Man, she's...
hey, Taskmaster's memory is pretty spooky.
That's true. So I chose Survivors Club. I have a comment from Matt, who was on the show a couple of times. He commented on Facebook. He said, I have read it. Kind of a mixed bag. It's got some interesting ideas, moments, and a cool premise, but overall, I found it kind of lacking. Worth checking out, though, for horror fans looking for something a little different. I would actually agree with
100%
that.
agree with that.
So I picked this, having only read about half of it.
I read the first issue.
I've read the rest now, and I gotta say, the end did not
Satisfy
as well as the beginning, because I really loved how this book starts. So the premise of this book is. Well, actually, it's right here. What if the horror movies of the 1980s were real? Where are all those kids today?
Ooh.
And so we see a lot of these kids who were in horror movies or horror movie scenarios are still haunted by their past in some way, shape,
Cabin
or
in the
form.
Woods-esque, would you say?
I would, but not in the way of...
Near the end, it feels like it.
Yes,
That's
towards the end more. But I don't think the connections in this book work towards the end.
Not nearly as well.
Because... it's just they all have different horrors that are attached to them, and I was wondering what that connection was, but the real connection doesn't come in until the very end.
Yeah, and I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. Sparks, did you read this one?
Yep.
What'd you think?
Sorry, I'm yawning. I thought
Sorry, I'm boring you.
I thought that there was a lot of cool stuff here. I didn't feel like all of it fulfilled its potential.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one. I really liked the doll, Alice.
Alice,
I thought she was great.
Creeped me out.
Both
Lord.
Alices were really fun.
nice one, Evil.
Were really fun to read.
It's like the Prestige.
Yeah, I like Mr. Empty.
Yeah.
That was Mr. Nobody, Mr. Empty?
Named Mr. Empty.
Mr. Empty. I thought that was a really cool imagery, really scary. Auntie?
Kira with her aunt. That's my favorite character.
Yeah, that one was really good. I don't think... I wonder if they kind of moved away from her as the lead in the beginning, towards the middle. The video game girl, the African lady.
Zira,
I think I call her. I think they move away from her being the main character to Alice and the Simon character.
Also, Tia's around there with bug bites.
Yeah, and then this one guy with bug bites who was attacked by this bug lady, which we find out his last. Lady. We find out his horror last.
Yeah.
And
then you got this crazy murder man trying to catch them all with Mr. Empty.
Yeah, and this is fun though.
It's
definitely really spooky.
It's definitely a really good premise, and I think the first couple issues are pretty good. But I think the longer it goes on, the more it outstays its welcome.
Yeah,
and especially this near the end with the house stuff, which I talked to you a little bit about. I'm kind of confused on how that whole house works.
Yes,
it's like a magic house, so like it does whatever it wants.
It's like a house that's both possessed and alive and good natured.
The rules and how it works of kind of both the video game and the house weren't very well explored. Kind of even the doll thing, I'll argue too.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure who was the doll and who wasn't. Alice.
I thought you meant the ending. Okay, yeah.
No. Just like the like what was going on exactly was never really well developed, I felt. Yeah. On those three things. And one of the things that made it hard for me to get into this was, I don't know if I was the only one with this problem, but when the characters first meet up and they're talking to each other, I found the dialogue really unbelievable.
Yeah, a little bit.
I couldn't believe them talking to each other. I'm like, this is not how these people talk when they get together like this. This is weird.
Yeah. Brandon, sad to say, I did read some of it. I got like about halfway through. But one thing I really liked about this, me being a big video game guy, is the premise of it. Like, there's this haunted video game that's hunting these people down, and this game is somehow connected to these people's different horrors in 1987. But then it just gets really, really weird. Like the issue where Mr. Empty shows up in the house. And that Christian couple, they're like, okay, the house is acting up.
the exorcism people?
Yeah.
Well, I like that.
That were both not real and real.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but they're just walking through. It's like, hey, the house is acting up again. Okay, let's pray. And here, there's Mr. Empty just like showing up in their fridge, handing the wife 2 beers, and she's like, that's new. And she's just walking back upstairs.
I like those two characters because it's like they've seen the world and like they're just used to giant monsters and demons. So they see a monster and they're like, oh, this is a new one. Let's take care of it, I guess.
They seem to be based off of the Warrens.
That makes sense.
I got that impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this book was supposed to be... So this book came out around the time that Vertigo was trying to rebrand the first time.
If this had 3 more issues, I think I'd like it more because I don't think
it was supposed to.
I don't think it ended well. I think it needed those 3 issues.
I think it was supposed to be an ongoing, but it was canceled because Vertigo canceled a ton of their titles.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I don't know. So I like this book for the most part. I really like the imagery.
I like
think
the first half a lot.
I think the art is really good.
Yeah.
I think it's really spooky. Like there's a lot of really cool imagery in this book. Especially the end. Just the end is really confusing, and not only that, but the video game
turns people into zombies.
But it also is a good thing. See, that's where the horror ends up being something more positive than anything else. Some of the horror, so the house and the video game both end up being things for good, things that we're trying to test and make them better.
Right.
And I don't think that quote unquote twist works.
And the thing, sorry for kind of spoiling it, but
that's fine.
Like at the end, that's why I mentioned Cabin in the Woods because it's straight up like, oh, they were all like eating lollipops from like this, it's like scientist place. So I'm like, oh, this is straight up just now scientific, but like, it needed to finish. I don't think this book finished, and I think it ends badly.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it bums me out because like I would totally, I want to read the end of this book.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
I wonder if it'll get a second volume because Vertigo is more.
This has been over for like a year, right?
Yeah.
I would probably, I don't know, because there were parts where it was like, okay, there's a video game and then there's a house where this kid was like tortured because it was like a demon house that devil possessed.
Yeah, so
it's like Amityville Horror, but then the Ring with the game.
Right. So that bit. The problem there is that they're revealed to be. Well, they're not revealed, but the idea is that they're brought together because they're all connected, but it turns out that the video game and the house are not connected at all.
No.
Yeah.
And that bugs me.
So at that point, just either make a book about a haunted video game, which I think would be amazing, or a book about a haunted house, which you can still do great things with that.
I think the premise of this book is really good. Like, what if they were all connected and the connection turns out to be not the connection we thought it was going to be? It turns out to be the lollipops, and I don't think that connection works.
No.
Because especially if this book wasn't going to finish, this book should have changed the ending and had the connection be the horrors.
Which makes me think they didn't know they were going to get canceled.
Yes.
Which is a shame.
Me too. I feel like the connection should have been the horror. The connection shouldn't have been the lollipops.
Yeah, it makes me think like, yeah, man, like there's a great game called Outcast where 90% of it takes place in an insane asylum, and then it's got spooky ghost shit, and then the last 10%, spoilers for a 5-year-old game, it's a scientific base underneath where they're doing like nanotechnology stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, this completely ruins this game, and it's not nearly as interesting as it used to be. Then it's crazy scientist stuff, and I'm like, I hope that's not the direction this was gonna go.
It's like the end of Thor: The Dark World, where it's revealed that Odin is Loki.
Yeah.
Bring it full circle, Brandon.
We'll bring it back around.
But yeah, there's like this really like it started to feel like Cabin in the Woods, where I'm like, this is all spooky stuff, but it's all scientific in nature, and it's just not done.
But Cabin in the Woods establishes the connection being we established it early,
not at the last issue.
Yeah. Like this book, the very beginning, the premise, and like the first 2 issues, I'm like, okay, I'm into it. Yeah. Then I got to issue 4 with Mr. Empty in the spooky house. I'm thinking, okay, WTF is going on?
Well, see, here's the thing. Issue 5 is where I don't like it. I actually really like that issue.
I like where he's alone in the house and still like trying to figure out how it works.
Yeah, and he rips off the guy's beard and puts it on to pretend to be like when we see like they can't leave the Muskogee house because they
want to be a family or something.
Yeah, because they want to be a family or something like that.
And then you got like the cockroach infested bodies of Simon's parents.
I think that's cool.
I think it's cool.
The imagery was good. The imagery was good.
His sister gets murdered, but she has to stay in the house to stay alive. That's awesome.
Yeah, spoilers. His sister gets murdered.
There's a lot. Well, she's not even introduced until the
7th issue.
Yeah, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
It's a lot of really good ideas that are half cooked.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially like the Mr. Empty Alice.
Yes.
That's just like a weird amalgamation monster.
That doesn't go anywhere.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I wonder if it doesn't go anywhere. And like she escapes because she's like a good horror. Like Alice is like house. It's me, Alice. Please let me out.
Yeah.
But Mr. Empty is not a good horror, and I don't know. It's just the connections. Again, I feel like if the connections were more prevalent and not towards the end, it would have been a better book.
I don't know if I like Alice just going, oh, I just want to collect all the monsters and be the evil queen.
Yeah.
Like I know she was evil, but like I don't know if I needed Mr. Empty and then that stuff.
When we find out that what T's horror is, he immediately dies.
Does he not survive that when he gets a?
No, because he dies. But then at the end, we see him in a larva with.
That's right.
With Auntie.
That's right.
And now Auntie is like mixed with the larva queen. I don't know. Anyway, so
What?
So this is the first book club that we've actually critiqued being not so great.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
I still think the premise alone and a lot of the ideas are good enough to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like if you like spooky, cool stuff, and this sounds interesting, it's good. I just don't. Unfortunately, it didn't end.
I would recommend this on premise alone.
I'd recommend the first 5 issues.
Yeah.
Or at least first 4 issues.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this book club. Sparks, your book club next week. What is it?
I'd recommend Survivors Club 2. I thought there's a lot of cool stuff there.
Oh yeah.
Not that you asked. But
We're bad. We're bad about this.
We're so bad.
It's hard when I can't see you, baby boy. Can you give me just quickies? Give me some quickies about it.
I think that the concept was really cool. There are a lot of things in it that worked for me. I don't think the lore of the things that are happening to them is explored properly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that really hurts it, is that the lore doesn't feel well established of anybody besides probably Kiri.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
That's she's probably the only one who I felt like I don't really need to know more about you than this. Probably Tio as well. Tio I think was fine also.
Yeah.
As far as lore goes.
What was the scary house kid? What was his name?
Simon.
He was all right, I guess.
No, he's fine, but the lore behind his thing wasn't well developed, and that's the whole.
I think Alice is also one
thing.
of those things where it's not well developed.
Yeah.
No. Like everybody except Kiri and Tio, I felt like their thing was not presented well. It wasn't developed well enough. There's cool concepts, cool visuals, and cool ideas going on, but it's not well explained or elaborated on. And the ending is super weird.
Zira, is that her name? The main character, Zira, the gamer girl.
Zira.
I thought she was fine. I think I got enough about her character, and she threw out gaming references that are like super like.
But again, what I was saying,
I'm not talking about her character. I'm talking about the lore of the thing that happened to them. So the game. The game is poorly explained. The house is poorly explained. The doll thing is poorly explained.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Got you.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
And man, I'm really bummed out because like I actually think the idea of like this haunted game like following her, I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Because video games have never really been like explored that way.
You know what's really too bad?
What?
That this book exists, because this is a really good premise with a lot of half-baked ideas.
Yeah.
But if someone else came along and did something like this,
Yeah.
but baked those ideas fully,
I bet
could
this
be
would
really
make
good.
a pretty dope like movie or TV show that they can change up.
The video game part of the premise, if you can, it's kind of like a Sword Art Online if it was a horror thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of want to write one now.
I said it was like The Ring, but like a video game.
Yeah.
I also find that tagline about what if the survivors of the movies from the 80s were real a little misleading.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
I don't like that as a tagline.
I
think it misleads you about what the book is going to be.
I thought it was going to be 100% a different book.
Same here, because when I first started reading it, was started talking about video games. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, right.
Well, no, but I think it was sold as a different book, and if it was that different book, it would have been better.
Maybe if it wasn't a Vertigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a Vertigo. Maybe
Although-
this is an image. This could have been.
Anyway, I just wanted to,
Yeah,
but it's still got cool stuff.
Yeah, man.
Huh? No, I was gonna say the main character, the video game girl, she has my dream job. So
There you go.
I kind of want to know what school it teaches at, so I could be a teacher.
Yeah, it's a fictional world.
Damn it! Damn it!
All right,
Full Sail University.